It's fucking Thursday, and you all know what that means.
Oh, yeah. Hey there. What's up? I'm Mike. Meet my good buddy, Robin.
What does that mean?
Yeah?
Thursday.
Yeah. Oh, Theory Thursday?
Oh, okay. That's what it means. That means we're on the air, right?
Indeed.
It's time to party.
So we're going to drop a nice blues jam in the key of...
That key. D.
Giving it the D.
Take it away, Robin.
2, 1, 2, 3. Talked to my baby on the telephone. She said, boy, you better stop that rambling and come on home. I can't hold out. I can't hold out too long. I get a real good feeling talking to you on the phone. Baby, don't you worry, you're my heart's desire. You know I love you, baby. I just can't stand to see you cry. I can't hold out. I can't hold out too long. I get a real good feeling talking to you on the phone. Hey. Rambling on my mind. I got rambling on my mind. I hate to leave my baby on, but she treats me so unkind. Come here, guitar. Baby, I just talked to my baby. Watch me now. I just talked to my baby. I got a real fine thing on the telephone. Hey!
Well, yeah. How you doing tonight? I'm MikeRuggirello, your host for Theory Thursday. Meet my beat buddy extraordinaire co-host, Jason Thomas.
Not a beat buddy, bitch.
Well, you told me not to say that.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. And also, like I say every week, please go to our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe if you can. I will post the link every week in the comment section. Please go there when you can. Also, like to thank our sponsors, Singular Sound Beat Buddy, Kurt Mangan Strings, Fusion Masters on this, Mad Hatter Guitar Products, and Guitar Tune-Up San Diego. Hi, Don. And Mr. Cthulhu in Chief.
Yes.
SWR Video Productions. I think I've handled business, Mike. Back to you.
Thank you. And yes, you know, when we think about it, Mr. Dave Wright, he is basically the one that steers the show. He is the show. I mean, you get to see us ugly mugs.
Yes.
But, so yes.
Yeah.
Anyhow,
Anyhow.
this is an exciting evening. I and Jason and David, we bring you the awesome Mr. Robin Henkel. How are you, man?
Thank you, sir.
Look
Appreciate it, man.
We do too.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Wonderful. I gotta say, man, just you and the way you look and how nice you are of a person and these guitars. God, it's so cool just sitting next to you. And I mean, you exude Delta blues, my friend. You can see it from across the street when I saw you today.
Yeah.
You know?
It's dripping off you, man.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. And look at these guitars. He brought a plethora of 1930s style guitars, and we're going to talk about each one of them for you guys tonight. And you know what? Have your guitars ready, because we're going to have a kick-ass guitar lesson. Robin, talk about this.
You want me to start here?
Yes,
Yeah,
please
yeah.
start here.
I want you to feel it again. You already felt it, but
All right.
check it out. This weighs as much as a Les Paul, maybe more. It's about 12 pounds,
Oh,
right? It's a metal-bodied National. It's 1937. This is not the original paint job. Everything on the guitar is metal except for the neck. In fact, look at that old decal. Isn't that bitchin'?
Yeah.
It says National Duolian. Duolian was one of their models that they had. Back in the 30s, you've seen these guitars, and the people that are watching this, I'm sure, have
like
seen,
say, shout out to Turtle. I know
have
that.
seen these guitars that look like they've got a hubcap on the front of them. Well, back in the 1920s, they're trying to figure out some kind of way to make a guitar louder. And they had electronics and amplification. They had all that stuff, but nobody had made the guitar pickup work. It was just a rumor and an idea. And these two fellas, John Dopiera and a fella named Beecham that ran the company that had this guitar, started out and they said, well, let's build a guitar that has a resonator pan. So underneath this thing that looks like a hubcap, you can see back there's a piece of metal, and it's in the shape of a speaker cone. The string energy is transferred to that cone, and it amplifies itself acoustically.
Man.
Okay? So they made these guitars first. This is the same thing. You can't see it as well, but underneath there's, well, see,
boy.
I'm in it.
Amplified,
Let me
yeah.
unplug it for a second. So it's not radically loud, but back in the 20s, that was an improvement over the way guitars were.
And what tuning is this?
It's D tuning, but it's not the shape of a D chord. It's like if you play an E chord, if you could play it 2 frets below the guitar. It's like,
Nice.
it's not drop D, it's not the shape, it's the shape of an E chord, a whole step down.
1 5 8 3 5 1.
Oh, okay.
Interval. That would be
Okay.
the order of the.
Yeah. Okay, got it. That's correct, exactly. So anyway, John Dopiera was a Czech, and he made guitars, and he was involved with manufacturing and quality control at this company. He got pissed off at one of the corporate officers, so he quit this company and started the company that made this guitar.
Dobro?
This guitar is a Dobro.
There you go.
And it's believed that if you can just barely see, it says Dobro on there.
I see that.
Yeah, and it's D-O-B-R-O. It's believed that Dobro is Dopiera Brothers squished into a short word. So this guitar is tuned to a G, which is like
that's
an
got
A
some
chord,
MIDI.
a whole step down.
All right.
So you can hear where a lot of rock themes came out of this style of tuning.
That's great.
And guys like the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, they listen to Fred McDowell, and they listen to Howlin' Wolf, and they listen to Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, and that's where a lot of their early style came from, was either reinterpreting that music or just copying it.
It's not right, stealing it.
And let's also add that this guitar is tuned to the way that Keith Richards tunes his guitar. However, you have the low E.
Yeah, and so as far as what I've read is that he tunes his guitar like this, but he takes the 5th string off. I mean the 6th string off. So he's...
And that's how Keith rolls. That's his chord right there when he's...
Yeah.
That's so,
I get,
that's so cool.
I remember trying to figure out one of those old Rolling Stones tunes. I think it was "Can't You Hear Me Knocking."
Oh, I love that
and
song.
The guitar part at the beginning was like impossible. I was going, how the hell does he do that? And I still haven't figured it out. It's 40 years later, but it might be in this tuning or a tuning of some sort. But
Exciting, Robin.
But yeah, this is really.
So you got a little Zeppelin Stones dose for you. You know, the whole Delta vibe. You as a musician, we want to hear a little bit about the decision. Maybe you know when this transpired. You want to say, hey, I'm going to be that guy, and that's going to be my musical career. You know, because even me growing up, I think the first time I heard your name. Because you know, San Diego is somewhat of a small town. If you play guitar, you know, if you know, back in like what 90, 91, 92, we were going to Guitar Center buying sets of strings. I would hear your name, just or maybe you were in the store. I don't know. But as a young, a wee little lad, I don't know why I said it like that. A slap of the bass. I'm just saying, I've been aware of you a long time, and I want to know.
Well,
the decisions here.
Much before that, when I was a little kid, I was born in 1951. My parents took me to see the folk singers in the coffee houses in the early 1960s. And they weren't blues performers, but whenever they played a blues, I didn't even know there was a style of music called blues, but it did something to me. Like, especially I like when they take a string,
bend it.
And my dad said that's called choking the string. That's what it's called back then.
Maybe we should call it that from now on. Should feel it. I can feel this under my.
So I hadn't heard anything like that yet, but my parents took me to see Josh White, which was the first for real blues singer that I'd heard, and that was about when I was 10 or 11 years old, living in Seattle. And then back in San Diego, like advance about to my early 20s, I was in a rock and roll band playing, you know, Cream and ZZ Top and Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix and all that stuff. And I
were you like a Marshall guy or a Fender guy with pedals?
I was a bass player then.
You're a bass player.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I had, you know, kind of brought up playing folk music on the guitar, but I always thought the kids down the street were better than me because they could play the lead for Louie Louie. And I didn't know how to play any lead. You know, I was probably getting pretty good at rhythm, but I never really, and singing, but I never really, you know, I'd go, wow. So I went to one of my first guitar teachers, was a fella named Dennis Morgan. I thought he was cool because he had hair down to here. And that was back in '66 or so when
Beatles
cats didn't, you know, have too long a hair, you know, and he had a brown leather jacket. He had one of those silver tone guitars with the lipstick picked up, and it was yellow, and he called the guitar the Fang. And he said, if you wanted to play, and I asked him, I wanted him to teach me the lead to ba ba da da ba da 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 all the time, ba.
What was that scale lead in? Like a major penta kind of?
I don't know.
I don't know.
But it's just tuned all weird.
Anyhow, continue, my friend.
But anyway, so he said, well, who you really want to be listening to is Michael Bloomfield, and he plays in a band called the Paul Butterfield Blues Band.
Certainly.
And that band had Elvin Bishop and, you know, I guess, I forget the drummer, Buddy Miles, or I can't remember exactly who.
Those were all San Diego cats.
No. This was like a national group out of Chicago. They're white guys, well, mostly white guys playing the Chicago blues as deep and as authentically as they could. So comparing Chicago blues to Delta blues, like the music I do, mostly is played by one person. It's, if we were a stereotype, and it's one guy playing by himself. He could change chords whenever he feels like it. He could just sing. It's like not as structured as because when the black population in Chicago was in this higher density, musicians were more likely to play in bars. So music structure, changing chords at the same time, you know, doing all that stuff became a thing that was feeding the blues. And that was the music that guys like Clapton and Jimmy Page heard. Well, some of the things that inspired them.
A progressive shift during that time. And
it was mostly a group effort, is the difference between Chicago and Memphis.
Chicago blues is more electric. It's more, you know, played with the band. Or Deltas.
Gets me every time.
And that's just a stereotype. It doesn't all go slow.
Yeah.
A lot of Robert Johnson did like and Elmore James comes along and does the same thing on an electric guitar and comes out with turn those old amps up to like 10, and it was like must have sounded god awful, but that was like pushing the edge of
Yeah.
musical, like people, teenagers, and the guys in England were coming over here to hear that stuff, going, whoa, listen to that, did you hear that, And so that was kind of, I mean, when blues kind of evolved into some of the early rock, that's kind of some of the stuff that was going on. But the Delta blues inspired. Let me give you a little sample of some Delta blues. This would be really cool to do.
Guitar
since
change.
We're talking about this stuff.
I'm also getting. I don't need to help the man. He's very efficient as far as laying things down and on my shit.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
There you go.
So we, Robin has busted out a different instrument. This is a very
This is
vintage Dobro.
A 1930s Dobro, and you felt the back of the neck earlier. It's
I
like
did.
a V shape.
It's a hard V.
You can't really see it, but it's actually all of these guitars are from the 30s, and they all have that V shape. The Delta, this is music that came out of a very harsh environment of sharecropping. Guys were like working in the fields, like 100 degrees day after day, and a lot of these guys were like farmers and stuff, played guitar with dirty hands probably, and it's just, and then musicians to this day appreciate and hold that music on a pedestal a little bit, because it's a really, really special root and a connection to the lineage of where rock music came from. There was guys like Robert
That couldn't
Johnson.
have been better said.
Also from Mississippi was Muddy Waters. I'd say a little bit of an influence on the Rolling Stones, as well as certainly the slide style of Bonnie Raitt was Mississippi Fred McDowell. When you get home, baby, I want you to sit down and write me a few of your lines. The man that Robert Johnson used to go see, he was born probably like 1911, and he used to go see an older gentleman named Son House play. And Son, all of this music was not amplified. It was all played on acoustic guitars, like this one, but without the pickup. And Son had this really powerful delivery. And another one from Mississippi that I really like a lot is Big Joe Williams, and not to be confused, there's a jazz singer named Joe Williams who's also terrific, but Big Joe Williams is kind of chunky, roly-poly, like Santa Claus kind of a guy when he sat in his seat. He's just kind of fun and happy, and he tried different pickups on his guitar. In fact, he did a really odd thing. People made fun of him because he had this guitar. They had wires and duct tape and crap all over it. When you see his guitar, you go, whoa, what the hell was that butt ugly thing, But he had taken a rack of like 3 tuners and made his string a 9-string guitar by putting one of these racks across the top of there. So 3 of the strings were doubled up like a 12-string, and the other strings were like normal. And
that will sound real rich.
Mama don't allow me to boogie woogie all night long. Mama don't allow me to boogie woogie all night long. You might be down, mama, let your daddy see you got something to bend. Mama, don't allow me to boogie woogie all night long. It might be a minor boy. Ooh, someone to treat you wrong. Sweetest peaches don't grow on a tree, and the sweetest honey don't come from the bee. Mama, don't allow me to boogie woogie all night long. Watch me now.
That was cool.
That was
Nice,
awesome.
man.
Oh, well, thank you.
The nice stuff you're doing there.
Oh, come on now. Anyhow, thank you, Rob. I blame that stuff on the music. If I have those little moments where I might be doing all right, that's your fault. That was way cool. That was a great song. Is that a
That was
normal?
one of those, let's see, a lot of those songs were done by a lot of people, so I'm not sure who, but I was talking about Big Joe Williams at the time.
Big Joe
But what's
Williams.
cool about some of this stuff is, you know what, back about 30 years ago, the only people that really had film of these guys playing were like this, tight little group of collectors, and like now, most of this stuff is up on YouTube. So if you want to see Mississippi Fred McDowell or Muddy Waters or
Do you
Fred-
watch that stuff that
Yeah.
you're saying?
I sure do.
Oh, excellent.
In fact, one of the most helpful and coolest things that I did in my musical career, which created direction. I mean, there were a lot of things, right? But is it about 20 years ago, a fellow guitar player named Eric Lieberman gave me a video cassette. Remember video cassettes?
Yeah.
A VHS, and it had about 5 different features of different blues guitar players shot in black and white right on the plantations.
Oh, man, that'd be
and stuff.
cool.
And what was cool about it is that some of these guys were not professional musicians. They were just like farmers and stuff. So the thing that really stuck out was it was raw. And it taught me that you don't have to play perfect and spend hours you should spend hours in your room practicing, but the thing is, for the music that I'm playing, that imperfection is part of the beauty of it.
That's the feel. It's
Yeah.
the
and it's
the gut
more about
desire.
that trudge.
Robin, I want to let's maintain this topic.
Okay.
Let's not forget where our head's at.
Yeah.
I want to talk to the audience a little bit. Hey, what's up, everyone? This is a fantastic show. I'm having a great time. I think we all are. I want to talk and clue you guys on a little bit what's going on with some of the groove pieces that Robin has. We have a mic stand, and he's stomping on it. Yeah. Let's talk about that. Where does this
Okay.
come from?
Well, I bought this mic stand at Freedom Guitar back when it was on Market Street.
Good old Dewey. That's
Yeah.
what I bought my first
mean,
guitar at Freedom.
It was,
Yeah.
I think it was on Market Street around 5th or something like that. This is in the 70s. This is like 1975, 76.
That's when
I
I was
bought this
born.
mic stand there. And I had no idea that 40 years later, I'd be like, using it for drums.
So-
because I used to take a microphone
Okay.
and put it on a piece of wood,
And then-
duct tape it to the stage, and then I realized it sounds better if there's a piece of carpet underneath it. So I put a piece of carpet on the stage, duct tape that to the stage, put my board on the stage, duct tape. So it was like, I should have bought stock and duct tape at the time, because it was like it took 10 minutes to set this up, and I realized that sounds just about as good.
That sounds so good. It's coming
Yeah.
out of the Jeff system right now. We have that sub and our piece right here. And if you're watching the episode right now, maybe on your TV system, you're certainly getting these frequencies that I'm really feeling in here. Can you do it again?
Yeah.
We have lift.
So a lot of times when I'm working with a sound man, they'll realize what I'm doing and they'll crank the bass up too much. Like, I don't want it.
Overpowering.
I just want it to be boom, like a nice, tight, puffy kick drum.
Yeah.
Is that puffy enough?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So, I mean, I'm not plugged in right now, but you can hear it. I mean, it's there. It's not too loud. It's not loud enough.
It's about 70% of the time when you're doing your gig, or is this every song?
It's pretty much all the time. Every once, depending on the groove, it might be hipper to go from quarter notes. Like here, I was in quarter notes. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on a slower groove, quarter notes. But if you're doing like a funky,
Oh, awesome. Oh, wow.
go to half time.
That's got a great vibe. Oh,
I think
boy.
that's kind of what
I like
part
that
of the
one.
influence of John Bonham is that here's this hard rock band, but a lot of his grooves felt like they were in halftime.
That's really cool that you said that. So,
I mean, the guitar is going, and
Right.
he's back there, boom, 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 not,
yeah,
Playing a bunch of back
keeping that
beats down there.
halftime feel
Yeah.
going.
Well,
which is
it's
part
interesting.
of what made that band sound unique compared
Absolutely.
to everyone else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, some of those.
Strong drummers help.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just wanted to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's such an important part of your sound.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. If you guys are you blues guitar players out there that are looking to be inspired or to maybe add something to your rig or your system.
Keep it simple,
the
man.
Robin Henkel mic stand was sold at right. Maybe we can market that.
Yeah, and there might be some other ones but guys in town that do a thing similar to what I do, Ben Powell and Nathan James, they've built themselves a piece of wood that they bring, and it's like a stomp box.
Yeah.
You
There's
know-
a microphone inside of
Like a
it, maybe
element,
a little
yeah.
contact pickup.
There's a couple companies that make these, and
Yeah.
I see them at NAMM when I'm walking around,
Right.
and they actually get like really nice pieces of wood,
Uh-huh.
and they look like this. So imagine this, guys. I forgive me for not knowing the name of the company, but it'll look like this, and it's got a 1/4 inch,
Yeah.
and
It's an
there's
easy thing to make,
Yeah,
really.
and I heard it through the PA. They have one of these set up at the booth, and I got to tell you, it sounds a lot like that.
Uh-huh.
But this is 100% organic.
Well, it's also probably a lot cheaper.
Well, he's got
Since
a
you bought it
Beta
in
87.
1974. Yeah, that's like on my
Yes,
team.
there's a really good mic,
Yeah.
and I think Robin, you mentioned that a good old,
Even with a 58 or a 57, that would work fine.
Yeah.
probably even be bassier with a 58.
Might be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
that's
you know,
really
I
really
just,
great
you know,
stuff.
most of my gigs are in well, if I don't have a sound man, I'm in a smaller gig like a restaurant or a wine bar or a thing like that. It's just me. I put my amp right behind me, so I can feel the presence of that amp.
Yeah.
One of the things whenever I do a larger concert, I always tell a sound man, I want to take that amp and bring it right up here. I want to be right in front of the monitor, which makes them have to grab the amp and bring it out to the front of the stage, because I want that amp in my back.
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
The three of us saw you. We went to go watch Jimmy Lewis. Hey,
At the
Jimmy,
Rabbit Hole.
At the Rabbit Hole.
Couple
Oh,
of weeks
okay.
back.
And
Yeah.
it was funny. I guess it was a double booking. He was supposed to do another hour, but you
Oh,
came
was he?
in.
Was he? I didn't
And
know.
I'm looking at Jimmy, and he's winding up his cables because we went to go eat and have a few beers and watch Jimmy. And Jimmy's winding up his cables, and you're pulling in with your band, which we'll talk about in a moment. And I look at Jimmy, and I'm like, dude, are you covered? He's like, oh, they paid me. I'm like, did you want to play? He's like, Mike, Robin's here. I was like, yeah. I love that, that he says
Well,
that.
he's terrific.
Indeed. But that's the kind of respect that us youngsters have for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Doesn't matter how good we are. It's like, and not to kiss your ass too much, but hey, man, you're one of those dudes that's been doing it the whole time. Probably gave us most of our inspirations. You're certainly one of mine.
Oh, thank you.
That's why I want to. To be a full-time musician. God, what a joke that is. But we figure it out, huh?
Hard thing to do.
It is.
Consistent.
Yeah. So, I wanted to talk about your band because, we're really talking about the one-man show, the Delta Vibe, the microphone. When we saw you that night, you were playing rock and roll, dude. It was fucking
That was
great.
at the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah. Whitney Shea picks out most of those songs, and they're all rhythm and blues tunes, but she doesn't pick out the popular hit tunes. But she picks out the Etta James and Big Mama Thornton and, the women singers that
Those got to be
were
fun,
powerful.
fun tunes
Yeah,
to play.
and there were a lot of tunes that, when I was growing up in the 50s, I never heard any of that music. My parents just didn't play rock or jazz.
Kingsman.
Or blues,
Let's talk a little bit about your equipment in that outfit, because
Okay.
that's, Robin plays about 20, 25 gigs a month, which is god darn busy. And that band is once a week, once every 2 weeks you get to play.
Well, it really varies. I'd
Varies?
say I do about 10 or 12 gigs every month that are solo. I do about 5 or 6 gigs with Whitney, and those are duo gigs.
Oh.
So the band only plays once or twice a month.
So that was a real,
you know.
that was a,
So
a
that was a
treat
different-
for us, I
that
guess.
Street, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a different band I have that plays jazz. It has 2 or 3 horns in it, like trumpet, trombone, 2 saxophones, and we play more of a jazz routine. I wrote all the music, and they read it, and it's a completely different thing from what I'm doing.
I would
That
like to
group-
see that.
That's, to me,
What
that's what I
guitars?
put my. I
You still
play
playing the
guitar in that.
same guitars?
Actually,
there was-
I play this one most of the time because this is the guitar that's played in the regular tuning.
Gotcha.
And we'll get
But
to
I've-
this in a
but
little
one of
bit.
the unique things is to play slide guitar with a horn section. It's something you don't hear too often.
Yeah.
Especially when it's original composition. I'm not really copying anyone.
Yeah.
If I'm influenced by somebody, it's somebody that didn't necessarily have slide guitar.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit of fashion for a little bit. Because
Okay.
we always bring up either hair or clothing, just because it's just one of the funny topics.
Mike always brings it.
Well, Robin also celebrated your 66th birthday.
66 was
Look at
a
that.
week
You
ago.
look like you're 46, brother.
All right, thank you.
And I've noticed in a lot of your other recently, you're because this cool hat. I don't know what they're called.
Oh, it's called a Big Apple.
It's
Yeah.
called a Big Apple.
Yeah, it's
I
Like
have
a
noticed
a newsy hat, right? Is that-
he's been taking some pictures around town without it.
Oh yeah.
Look at this head of
look at-
hair.
People figure you don't have any hair when you wear a hat all the time, but I got some hair.
You look badass. And I started seeing some pictures. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to say, maybe not the reasons,
Well,
but I like
I don't know
that.
where that got started.
There's some diversification there. That's what I care about. So.
Yeah. It's funny that some of the older musicians that I know, that people that are my age or older, are really feeling kind of, wow, it's a young man's sport, and like they're feeling like I'm not getting as many gigs as I was. I'm playing better than I ever have in my life. I'm not getting the gigs, and I really feel that, God, I'm one of the, I don't want to say lucky, but fortunate. Like it's a combination of luck and a lot of hard work that kind of puts you where you are. But I've been able to make my age work for me rather than work against me, because I play music from the 1930s, and it's like a lot of the young people look at me and go, wow, that's credible. Instead of going, that's a geezer, they go, wow, that's credibility, and that's So
you've kind of
So I'm
taken
really-
it to being like a hipster hero.
Yeah,
It's like very much
a
like-
person 60 shouldn't be trying to be a hipster.
But you were already, it's what those people are trying to be.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
like
I see.
you're
That's
you know,
funny.
I was
So funny.
unloading my gear at the House of Blues a couple of months ago, and these young guys, like on little bicycles, little hoodlums on bicycles, going, and one of them goes, "Dope ass hat, man."
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I go, I think that was a compliment.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, the word dope means rad.
Cool,
Good.
right?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
the
mean,
new
I still say
cool.
rad.
Yeah.
Rad is a 1980s word, but anyhow, I had to bring that up, dude. It's
In fact, when I was in the, you know that I do a guitar workshop at Donovan Prison. When I was walking out, you got to show your ID 3 times to get in, 3 times to get out. And on the last door out, the guard, one of the guards, and these guys are like fully militarized. They're like olive drab uniforms with stuff all over their belts and the boots and shit. And one guy starts like, getting all tweaked
Crazy?
about something. I don't know what he was, and he was like tripping on my pants. He was going, the pants, the pants.
The striped pants?
Yeah, he does.
These are great.
He was tripping out on it, and I said, man.
Can't wear those.
Yeah.
Not in
Well,
Donovan.
I think he liked the pants. is
No,
what
he
saying.
liked them. That was the
into it,
point.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Actually, the first time I went there, there's, you know, there's actually like a, you know, the first guard station is like on the road, like a military base,
Okay.
right? So you go through, and the guard says, well, you guys can't go in like that, and like, what's up? And he says, well, what I don't know is that the prisoners wear a light blue top and a dark blue pants, kind of like a hospital jersey. Well,
Your favorite
I'm wearing a light blue pants and a dark blue top.
Ah.
Actually, it was this top, and
They're like,
the
"That's not
guard's
gonna
going,
fly."
No. He says, and you know what? This must happen all the time, because he reaches in his little guard station and pulls out like this painter's jumpsuit, looks like pajamas that are all white that you zip up, and I went in with that.
That's rad.
Wow. You
That's
got
awesome.
pictures of that?
Yeah.
Cool. And almost a Devo outfit right there.
Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. We were having a crack up over that. But that's a remarkable experience. The first time I went in.
And Donovan's a prison, by the way, here in California.
Yeah, like a real prison.
That's actual prison.
Yeah, we did the jail that's in that same complex in a guitar workshop that helps them, you know, develop camaraderie and self-esteem.
That's extremely noble. Good
It's
for you.
actually, you know, what started
the name of
this is called Jail Guitar Doors. Now, you remember MC5?
Mm-hmm. Of
I
course.
don't. What's that?
The band out of
Back
the
in 1968 or so, they were the first band to put
Oh.
on a record.
Oh.
MC stands for Motor City, so it was the Detroit 5. And 10 years before punk music ever happened, these guys came out just like totally, very aggressively.
Yeah.
And that was their whole thing. And there were other bands that did that, but they were on the edge of that. Anyway, one of those guys is named Wayne Kramer, and he's one of the spokesmen of this program, Jail Guitar Doors.
Okay.
He was incarcerated, and so he and another fella and some of the guys, I don't know the full history of it, but I think one of the English pop or punk groups like The Clash wrote a song about him, and then he was in prison and he heard it, you know, and they got to know each other later. They didn't even know him, he didn't know them.
Wow.
Anyway, this program, Jail Guitar Doors, is national now. Actually, I think it started in England, it migrated to the United States. And different volunteers in different cities go into the prisons. And we were going into the East Mesa reentry facility, which is actually a sheriff-operated jail for guys that are just in for a short period of time. And we do a guitar workshop with them. You know?
Do you have to bring guitars, or they supply the
Well,
guitars?
I don't know where they got them, but they I think Jail Guitar Doors has a like some, you know, they're charity. They're a legitimate charity, so they can provide guitars.
Have a nice delivery of like
Yeah.
30 instruments.
Yeah,
then-
and there's about 15 or so guitars.
Oh, I bet they love that.
You know, like, you know, just flat top steel string acoustic guitars at East Mesa. And at Donovan, the guys get to use the guitars in their to keep them in their rooms.
Oh,
They're
man.
little nylon string, small guitars, but they're good enough to learn on. And they're encouraged to like write songs to get their stuff out.
Emotions out.
That's
You know,
that's.
And,
I'm impressed.
it's
That's
very, it's very.
That'd be rewarding, man. I'm just to do that
It's
every time, just
rewarding
to see
for
that.
us. And I mean, everybody is like, I mean, the prisoners as well as the staff are really very positive about us being there.
And when you say us, who
Oh,
else
it's
is involved?
There's me and a fellow named Robert Bird and another guy named Dan Danner. So there are 3 of us right now. You know,
Okay.
but these programs happen all over the United States at different prisons. But we is just like the San Diego component of Jail Guitar Doors.
And how far is Donovan from here?
Donovan is all the way down
down.
to the Mexican border.
Okay.
If you take 805 all the way down, the last turnoff before you get to Mexico is this freeway called 905 that
Yeah.
parallels the border. If you go about 5 or 6 miles east, it's kind of like a no man's land. It's at the foot of Mount San Miguel.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's out there there's a prison complex with George Bailey, East Mesa, and Donovan.
Well,
So,
oh,
wow, what an experience.
that really, that
Yeah.
sounds.
So when we're
It's
not
very
going
exciting.
in to give them a concert,
No,
we're going
no.
in to help them learn
Learn.
guitars.
That's cool.
And they're got, a lot of the guys that are in there have already been in there 20 years or so. One fella told me that he told the group while we were having a little talk session. There were about 12 of us, and he said, you know what, I've spent most of my adult life in prison, and I have a granddaughter now, and I'm just kind of worried about when he gets released if he's going to be able to deal with life,
Yeah,
'cause
sure.
that's
To reassimilate.
part
yeah,
of the
okay.
thing is to, like, when they turn these guys loose, to have them be able to be functional.
Yeah, but a lot like the service you provide, I think there are other services, maybe if it's like the last 6 months or last year of their sentence, they take these daily classes,
Yeah,
like
they
a
have that
reassimilation class possibly. So I think that exists.
When we were over at the jail, they were, instead of wearing their prisoner smock, they had this like a white shirt and a tie on, and they were sitting in front of this woman at a table, going through what it would be like to be in a job interview.
Oh, wow.
So they
Yeah.
could learn that.
Speaking, no, finish. What else you got?
Oh, well, I had one anecdote about that. They, a lot of what they give these guys also are Bible classes.
Okay.
And you can only take the class that we do one time. It's 8 weeks long. A guy that had been in the class before walks in the middle of the class and signs himself in and probably grabs a guitar, and nobody really thought anything about it. And about 5 minutes later, a guard comes to the door. I can't remember what his name is, but he goes, "Wilson!" And like we knew something was happening, but we didn't know what it was. And I found out later the guy ditched his Bible class and came over to the guitar class. And the way he did it,
Of course he did.
what he did was he asked if he could go to the bathroom. And he went to the
Oh.
bathroom and then didn't go back to this Bible class. He went to our class, which
That
I take
is-
that as a compliment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Way to promote juvenile behavior.
Yeah.
Speaking of learning,
Yeah.
guitar lesson time, everybody. Grab those
Okay.
guitars. I
Hey,
think.
Robin,
Yes.
move up your mic a little bit on your
Okay.
tie.
I will do that.
Slid down a bit.
Oh, it kind of drifted a little
Did
bit.
that just happen? No.
No, it's okay. You can still, you can hear pretty good. You can hear
Yeah,
pretty good.
it's fine.
Well, I'm going to
I
use
just
this.
don't want it to be touching the guitar when it's playing.
Oh, yeah, move it up.
We were talking a little earlier about some arpeggios, and I
Yeah.
was like, that is interesting. I'm hanging out with the Delta Bluesman, and
Yeah. Well, because,
I
arpeggio is. Oh, go ahead.
well, no, I really liked what you showed me. And
Yeah.
I want you to show them. This is really helpful. It's certainly
Let's
break
see.
down
I'm going
the.
to use a regular picky wicky for
Are-
this.
And we have a new guitar. It looks like it's called the Recording King.
Yeah, and this is not a new Recording King. This is a 1939 Recording King. These guitars were made by Gibson back in.
That's
the
made
late-
by Gibson?
That's
Yeah.
Gibson.
Yeah.
Well,
in fact,
hey.
it looks exactly the same as a Gibson. I think it's called an ES 150. Gibson never call it the Charlie Christian model, but guitar players and musicians call it the Charlie Christian because Charlie Christian was like the most awesome
Oh, yeah.
guitar player, and he played a guitar just like this that has that same 3-bolt setup. And notice that this is one of the earliest electric guitars. The controls are up here
Okay,
rather
yeah.
than down here because they just were still figuring it out.
They didn't know.
Notice also this is a single coil pickup, so we're getting a little hum.
Oh, and we.
60 side.
But I can turn this down a little bit, actually.
Yeah, you did adjust for your last guitar.
Yeah, the last one is the one that I need the guitar. There we go. So what I'm playing is basically a 12-bar blues that could go like this the entire time through.
Just like this.
Instead of going for the 5 chord down to the 4 chord, which is common, is what most people do automatically. Sometimes Sometimes I'll play the 5 chord for 2 bars, and I just like that cooler. Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So,
Trying
yeah.
to get some support going here. I do. But no, it's okay. But just keep going, because this is a guitar lesson.
Anyway, so this is a cool way that you can just keep the whole thing going. And, you know, a lot of my students think it's all about this stuff. And really, especially if you're one guy, you can't do this stuff. You got to keep the groove going. So between this and this, you could sing anything. I'm going to Kansas City. Ow! Kansas City, here I come. I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women. I'm gonna get me one. I might take a train, might take a plane. If I have to walk, I'm gonna get there just the same. I'm going to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I come. They got some crazy little women there. I'm gonna get me one. So, I mean, all you really need to do is keep that groove going. So it's really like just playing an E chord, but nobody would ever do this because it's too hard to do.
Right. So with the interval that was happening, the first arpeggio that you were showing, if this is our E5 and our E6 and we're doing the riff, right here on the 4th fret, that's your major third. So I like that you went major third, 5, minor 7, right? What's the rest of the
And then
arpeggio?
I just repeated that same thing. So an E dominant 7 arpeggio is 1, 3, 5, flat 7.
Correct.
Right? So 1, 3, 5. When I teach it to my students in this position, I tell them it's a kite shape, right? Right? And that's where that dominant 7 chord comes if you leave the 5 out.
So if I go,
Yeah. So if you can see this shape, imagine you had a 7-string guitar.
okay.
E would be right there.
Okay, yes,
So you
of
got
course.
ba 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 ba.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I repeated the same thing, but in this position it was 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5, flat 7, 1, 3, 5.
That's the one I like.
And one time I was doing a band job up in Santa Barbara, and I was riding in the back of the car. So I had this little funky acoustic guitar. I practiced that sucker all the way up to Santa Barbara for about 3 hours.
Show it to me again, please.
Okay.
Okay. You start on the 3. That's right, the 6. Okay. I'm a little sharp.
Yeah.
But no, that's a juicy.
And then the flat 7, good.
It really feels like just the major triad going through like 3 times.
Uh-huh.
Well, there's a familiar shape. I mean, I'm just using the E,
yeah.
but like this and then that. I guess that's the unique part that I'm like right there. That's very cool. I like that a lot. Just hearing the 7 and the 1, the 3. Oh no.
So if you did that in, the 3 chords of the 12-bar blues,
Okay.
the other one would be A. So here you'd have your, like a kite shape. And then the rest of it's just really this. And then the same thing here for a B7. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So if I were to just to play a 12-bar blues, the thing is if you solo that way, the listener can hear your chords even though you're not playing chords. Like if you solo with a blues scale over the entire thing,
Sure.
nobody can hear what changes are,
Sure.
you know? So if I... A.
Oh, what a great lesson, guys.
So you notice every once in a while there's a real sweet little, a little turn in there. And what I learned from a jazz arranging teacher that I had several years ago was when you're going from one scale or one chord tone, which is what the arpeggios are, when you're going from one chord to another, try to make the last note of the chord you're in go to the next one by a half step.
Ooh.
So check this out. I'll try to do that when I'm in A. I went from the flat 7 of the A
To the 7.
to the major third of
Major
the E.
third of the E. Ah. And those are those oohs.
Now I'm going to go from the flat 7 of the E to the major third of the B. So
That's so
it
cool.
sounds really technical, but when you play these arpeggios a little bit, it's no big deal. It's only it's like learning 3 different things.
Sure.
But 2 of them is exactly the same. They're all the same. It's just the fingering's different because one you're starting from the 3rd and the other one's starting from the 1. But,
Very, very,
you know,
very tasty.
I try to make it easy for my students because, you know, like some students, you explain something technical and their eyes like,
They glaze over and roll
they
back.
glaze over and they start looking out the window, and other guys are like all over it, you know. And what I've tried to do is like notice how the student's responding. One guy that turned out to be a really, really good guitar player, I said, hey, just dig it that your dominant 7 arpeggio is a little kite shape. And then so then if you did it in A, it'd be, and then B. So, and really, that's kind of hipping people to how you would play bass anyway. So they're learning bass and guitar at the same time. And
Very cool.
So after that, like he was playing these progressions that were 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. He could go. I'll have to do it also. How about 1 bar per chord? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I could go. So I'm just walking that kite shape around.
So cool.
What you're doing.
So cool.
Yeah, and it gives you a framework so you don't have to know music theory. You can just play with the shapes they're telling you. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was great. Did you guys like that out there? Wanted to
I hope
say.
it got.
Huh? Well, no, I don't think it got too
Really?
technical.
Okay.
I thought we spoke within the guidelines of you know, if you're learning grooves and you know, these types of things on guitar, they have to be explained a certain way. And if
Right.
it's technical, that's about respect.
Yeah.
And the truth is, I have always instinctively, when I hear a cool sound or like, why did I like that part in the Rush song at 3 minutes and 45 seconds? Why do I like that? So I figured, you know, why not learn why, right? You start,
Yeah.
you get these.
No, that's a very good question. Is like, why does that sound good?
Yeah, I'm like, I want to put that in my song. And you remember they were doing a 1, 7, and a 6, and I'm basically holding a 2. You know, so like that particular recipe melodically is, I've seen that like 6 times, dude. Yeah. He's just telling me, telling me wrap it up, man. We've been talking too long. So, you know, whatever. It's Robin Henkel. We'll go 2 hours tonight if we want to. But, so we did the guitar lesson. You want to do some plugs? We got some gigs coming up.
Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's
Well,
talk
first-
about that. You got them? You did them all already?
No, I got him.
Oh, okay.
For the last bit. So, whatever you want to do. We can go a little bit longer if you want. I'm fine with that. I'm very captivated by Robin right now. A lot of people are
Indeed.
watching it too.
You know, I would like to talk about his strings choices real quick. You know, there's a lot going on. But Robin and I had a conversation earlier, and you mentioned to me that you need 2 different sets of strings to
Well,
to
kind
do
of,
this?
sort of. I've been buying my strings. I make up my own sets. Not so much on this guitar, but on those guitars that I play slide.
Okay.
I need to have a high gauge top string.
Like a 13?
It's actually a 14.
Okay.
So I think on those guitars I'm going 14, 18, 20 or 22 plain, 32, 42, 52.
Oh, right.
So there are a lot of sets made up that will give you this 52, 42, 32. And those are the most expensive strings. If you tried to buy those individually, those are going to cost you over $1 a piece, even if you're getting a good price on them, you know. So anyway, I'll buy a cheap set of strings that gives me like maybe these 3 or
And
these ones.
How much are you spending when you say a cheap set of strings?
Well, when you have a string sponsor, I don't know if I should be going in it.
Okay, well, fair enough.
Okay.
My point is that the great people at Kurt Mangan, they are willing and they have it set up where if you want to work with them, they will send you you just tell them what gauges you like, and you just go online and say, hey, I'm Robin, I was hanging out with Mike and Jason and Dave, and they'll, you know, you got to spend some money, of course, but you can have these things sent to your house, and provided that you like the strings, you know, maybe the Theory Thursday and Kurt Mangan, maybe we can, because Kurt Mangan, I talked to them earlier this week, and I told them who we were interviewing, and I told them how busy you are, and me personally, I think Robin Henkel would be a great fit to the Kurt Mangan family.
Sure.
And it would be great to minimize that purchase, situation. You know, maybe you as a player, you're getting used to a certain, you know, it's like paying your, not electric bill, but you know, maybe you have like spend $20 a month and then so much comes to your mailbox. It's kind of like, it's a little bit what we do around here. And you maybe,
you have to maintain it. It's interesting when you've been playing for a long time, all the things you do to maintain your gear.
Yeah.
And if you do gigs on a regular basis, and you're basically your own guitar tech, you know, I have I don't know where it is now, but there's like a shaving kit box. It's got a package of strings, pliers, screwdrivers, you know, cutters, you know, tuner, flashlight, including thefts that you don't think you're going to need, like Allen wrench, blah, blah. You know, you got to have a whole, you need a whole, you know, plus
Duct tape.
You know, ibuprofen, you know.
Yeah, ibuprofen.
You know.
Well, just to sum up that conversation, I had Kurt Mangan and Samantha. Hey, I want to say hi to you guys. They're sending us out a set of 13s for you.
Oh, really?
And
well,
just to get your feet wet.
A new guitar that I didn't bring today.
Cool.
I just bought, well, new guitars, like 1935, but it's just like this orange one, the one you held that's about 12 pounds, but it's a metal guitar, but they finished it with wood finish. So it's not real wood, they just painted it to look like it was wood.
Oh, I gotcha.
Isn't that
That's cool.
That seems weird, odd, that they'd make a metal guitar and then paint it so it looked like wood.
That's a decision.
It's a classic. It's a classic national guitar, and everybody, the guys that play vintage or
are you talking about that one right there?
This
the national.
Yeah, this one's
holy
a national.
shit! So you're telling me that's not wood?
This is the one that's metal.
The body is metal.
The bottle is
oh
metal.
Shit! What's going on?
The wood.
The
neck is wood.
See?
Okay.
Yeah, that's wood.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. The neck is wood, but all of this is metal.
God, it's just
in fact, you can see where the paint has worn off.
Hold this thing, dude.
Yeah, I've held a couple. Oy. It's almost heavy as my bass.
Yeah, I love that guitar. I'm lucky to have that.
Almost like my double neck.
Yeah, this guy plays a double neck, poor dude. Hey, by the way, we were on stage for an hour and 25 minutes. They had a double neck on the whole time?
I did, for most of it,
This guy's a champ, too.
It's a double neck bass and a guitar, so it's very...
yeah, he's stronger than he looks.
I look pretty strong.
All right. Well, we've been on there a good hour. And guys, this is Robin Henkel. He is a Delta blues guitar player. I wanted to go a little bit, maybe get a little history going, like all the different styles of blues. You got the Delta, you got the Chicago, you got the Texas, we got gospel. What am I leaving out?
I don't know. It's just
there's lots of blues.
Yeah.
Right. And you're hip. Your Delta is your thing. And maybe some. It varies.
Yeah.
You're doing rock and roll.
Well,
and shit,
when I play by myself, it's mostly just the what they call is country blues. And country blues, not to mean country like in country western. Country just means the blues that was not in the cities. So they distinguished themselves from city blues. City blues was more sophisticated, had a little bit more jazz in it, might have been rocked up, might have been played on electric instruments, might have been
Sorry about that.
might have been played with horns, and piano, and more of a jazz, thing. Whereas the country blues, Delta blues, Mississippi Delta blues, was more one guy.
Look how he rolls his fingers. I love the way you play. Your fingers are just like dripping through, like.
So when you think of Jimi Hendrix doing something like Voodoo Child, I mean that's a classic.
Totally.
And the way he would sing. So that's
So
where that's
invigorating.
coming up. Or like when he does Hear My Train A-Comin'.
Yeah, I
The
love
thing
that
where he's
song.
playing the 12 string
Yeah.
on that old British thing that he filmed. That's blues, it's old blues, and it's sometimes a guy like Jimi Hendrix could rock it up so much that people wouldn't even hear it as blues. But I mean, he came out of those old bands playing with who did he play with, like Little Richard and cats like that, Curtis Knight, and they were like black bands that toured the Chitlin circuit.
That's right,
and
Little
were,
Richard.
Like, doing wearing the same jacket and doing steps and stuff like that.
We do that now. We're we maybe not formally, but
But yeah, yeah.
well, I would like to close the show down, and I chose the Brushes 3 at 160 BPM. This was a tempo that Robin chose earlier. This is what it sounds like to give us a little refresh, and we're gonna do our jam on the way out.
Preview. All right, cool.
Remember that earlier? A little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it on this guitar. Indeed.
Now, while we're doing that, I'll close it out then.
Yeah, Jason, do your thing, brother.
All right, guys. Yeah, and thanks for being here, Robin. I had a
Thank you
great
very
time
much.
with you.
It's
and
a pleasure seeing you
pleasure's
again.
mostly mine. I'll tell you that right
All
now.
right.
But thanks, guys, for watching. How great was the show, guys? Anyway, I'd like to thank our sponsors: Singular Sound Beat Buddy, Kurt Mangan Strings, Mad Hatter Guitar Products, and Guitar Tune-Up San Diego, Mr. Dave Wright, SWR Video Productions. And also want to give Robin a little thing. He's got some gigs coming up. If I can find, I lost my notes. Anyway, it's robinhenkel.com if you want to check out the website, and he's got more dates coming up. robinhenkel.com. Also, he's going to be playing at House of Blues generally every Tuesday. Usually,
Generally every Tuesday.
Generally every Tuesday, but he will be there this Tuesday, and that would be the 14th?
17th.
17th.
Yeah,
okay.
17th.
I'm good
I
with
won't be
dates.
there on the 24th, but I'll
Yeah.
be there every other Tuesday.
Okay. So and then also he's at the Bird Rock Cafe.
Coffee.
Yeah, cafe.
Yeah.
Coffee.
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 Yeah, it's a
Bird-
coffee house.
Okay. And that's this Saturday in the AM, and also
Red Rack Cafe.
Cafe. Cafe.
Sorry,
Red
had
Rack
to say that.
And also Nate's Garden Grill, also Saturday evening.
I like the food there a lot.
That's a cool place.
That's a
isn't
really
it?
cool place.
Yeah.
They have a great little. It's actually kind of a long stage.
They have a lot of people playing there too.
Yeah?
Sometimes, like on Saturdays, they're like a morning, an afternoon, and an evening show.
Oh, cool, man. I ordered a BLT and left my wallet there, and they called me. That's part of the reason why I like them so much.
Yeah, guys. Again, thanks for watching. Go to our YouTube channel. And have a
Like,
great time
share, and
tonight.
subscribe.
Like,
Help us
share,
grow.
subscribe, all
Come
that.
on, you guys heard what I said last week. We want to give you things.
You have more giveaways coming
Yeah,
up, too,
we
guys,
got
so
more
keep watching.
giveaways.
Help us out. Help us grow the show. It's your show. Much is our show, and we really appreciate everybody every weekly guest. I see you guys chiming in, and it really makes me happy to see the regulars come in, and I really appreciate that, guys. So thanks for watching. And
Cool.
back to you, Mike. Let's
Yeah,
go.
and,
Let's
and
get-
also,
let's-
yeah, totally. Let's go.
Let's light this firecracker. What key we're doing this? The
up
G,
to Robin.
the G one, or what are we doing?
I'm just
This
gonna
gonna
lay
be
back, watch. Y'all figure it out.
The E.
I'll turn this down a little bit.
Marcus Berry can. Yeah, baby. G minor.
Sometimes I'm walking down the road. I get all messed up, I forget where I'm going. This ain't nothing like anything that I'd ever known. When I see her, my trash starts overflowing. Oh, she's slippery. Like a watermelon seed. Oh, she's sure enough is slippery. She got everything I need. Creeping into my dream when I'm sleeping in the night. This little girl has got me wrapped up real tight. I don't know her name or who she is. She got me all messed up like nobody's business. Oh, she's slippery. You got it, Mike. Everything I need. Go. Cool, man. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.